Newsfirst's Ashen Tharaka Gamage at the Newsfirst Election Bureau in Uva filed this report today.
Speaking to us, the returning officer at the Badulla District Secretariat noted that over 25,000 postal voting applications had been received and that letters of response had been issued to over 20,000 postal voting applicants for the Uva Provincial Council polls. Tomorrow will be a special day for candidates contesting the poll from the Badulla District, since all preparations have been made to issue preferential numbers to the candidates from the district tomorrow.
The Assistant Elections Commissioner in the Badulla district notes that the issuing of preferential numbers for candidates from the district will commence at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the district secretariat. He added that all 249 candidates contesting from the Badulla district had been informed in writing to attend tomorrow's meeting to receive their preferential numbers.
A 24-hour elections complaints unit has been established at the Badulla District Secretariat in view of the Uva Provincial Council polls. The unit has not received any complaints on election violence since it was established. The Newsfirst team here at the Uva Bureau toured the Badulla town today, and we witnessed how campaign posters had cropped up overnight once again, and we also witnessed the police and local council officials removing these campaign posters.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa today instructed officials to implement a program to raise the education level and literacy rate of children in the Matale district.
The President issued these instructions at the District Development Committee meeting held at the Matale Urban Council auditorium today.
While it was revealed during this meeting that weaknesses in the procedure for transferring teachers had contributed to the decline in the level of education amongst children, the President had noted that expeditious steps must be taken to fill all teacher vacancies. The President also noted during this meeting that the government has initiated a program to supply clean drinking water to all households in the country by 2018. While the steps taken to provide water to people in drought-hit areas was also discussed at this meeting, President Rajapaksa had issued instructions for a program to be implemented to protect fauna in sanctuaries in drought-hit areas.
They are carrying out various mud-slaying campaigns at present because they have nothing to say regarding infrastructure facilities. We will not be suppressed by this. Next time we will have implemented a program to supply water to all as well. Even then, they can say anything they want. I must remind you that the people are moving forward and we are working to fulfill their needs.
We Moving on to business news, farmers say that they are receiving a higher price for potatoes and big onions in the marketplace than the stipulated price introduced by the government. They say that private traders are purchasing big onions and potatoes at 80 and 90 rupees per kilogram respectively. The government has introduced a stipulated price of 60 rupees per kilogram of big onions and 80 rupees per kilo of potatoes. The reaping of big onion harvest in the main onion growing areas of the country surrounding Dambulla has already commenced. Meanwhile, the government has decided to increase the special commodities levy on big onions from 10 rupees to 25 rupees effective today. Farmers say that their harvests of big onions brought to the Dambulla Economic Centre today fetched a good price.
Onions are selling for between 80 and 85. It will be good if this price prevails. The levy was increased yesterday and we are satisfied with the price today. If the price drops, we will be unable to bear the cost that we have borne for this harvest. We cultivate after taking bank loans.
However, traders say that as the supply increases in the coming days, prices will begin to drop.
When the tax on onions is increased, farmers will be able to reap the benefit only if this price prevails. So we too believe that it is good if the level of pricing prevails. If the supply increases, the price could change. If supply decreases, the price may prevail.
The government proposed through the 2014 budget to introduce a stipulated price for potatoes and big onions to protect farmers from price changes. It is expected that farmers will receive a stipulated price of 60 rupees per kilogram of big onions and 80 rupees per kilogram of potatoes. However, officials note that in order to secure the stipulated prices, farmers must register with the Agrarian Services Department prior to cultivation.
Only about 8 farmers in Nuwara have signed agreements with us to sell produce to Satasa for 80 rupees a kilo. But even the farmers who signed agreements with us are yet to supply produce to us. Farmers are not coming to us since the price in the open market is high. But when prices in the open market reduce, the same problems will arise again. We will face a problem at that time because we can only purchase produce from farmers who have registered with us.
The Sri Lanka National Human Development Report 2014, published by the United Nations Development Programme or UNDP under the title Youth and Development Towards a More Inclusive Future, was launched this morning at the BMICH in Colombo. The report was launched as a collaborative effort of UNDP Sri Lanka, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Skills Development and the Ministry of Finance and Planning.
A gathering including academia, policymakers and foreign dignitaries attended the launch of the UNDP National Human Development Report 2014 in Colombo today. Minister of Youth Affairs and Skills Development Dala Salaha Perma was the chief guest, while the Ministry of Finance and Planning was represented by Dr. BMS Batagoda, the Deputy Secretary to the Treasury.
The research findings and recommendations could be used as key policy tools, while NHDR itself is providing a new platform for policy development and reform in youth and development sector. And also, this would serve as a strong advocacy tool for promoting youth empowerment and human development in Sri Lanka.
Looking ahead, we hope this report will serve as a platform for strengthening collaboration between the government and non-governmental actors and, importantly, youth themselves. We also see the recommendations of the report as being an important vehicle for supporting the implementation of the National Action Plan that will give effect to the National Youth Policy launched recently. We hope that Sri Lankan youth will take ownership of the report and realize their full potential as catalytic agents of change.
A group of women demonstrated in Colombo today demanding a reduction in the prices of goods.
Organized by the Women for Rights movement, the demonstration commenced from the Technical Junction in Colombo 10. The protesters reached the Fort railway station via Olcott Mawata and staged a demonstration. Heavy traffic was reported in Fort Colombo as a result of the demonstration.
The police said that a student of the Sabaragamu University who was recently arrested by the Terrorism Investigation Department is still being detained and interrogated by the TID.
Police headquarters issuing a communique says that a complaint was lodged with the Balangoda police on the 3rd of August, noting that the student in question was assaulted at the hostel. The communique adds that as the statements made by the student and the university security officers were contradicting, the TID has arrested the student. It adds that the student in question had confessed during interrogation that he inflicted the injuries on himself with the intention of seeking a transfer to the Jaffna University. Police add that based on his confession, they discovered a blade, a pole that were used to inflict the injuries on himself and a wire that had been used to bind his hands.
A media briefing was convened in Colombo today over a recent incident where a conference on protecting the rights of the disappeared was disrupted. Our conflict is with the regime that is governing this country without a vision, with impunity, violating the constitution and deceiving the people. We are working to uphold the rights of the people by awakening the voice of the families of disappeared persons to criminalize disappearances.
When a child goes missing, doesn't the mother have a right to question where the child is? If they are dead, then can't this government issue a death certificate? The mother is asking whether the child is alive or not. If a mother does not even have that right, then what is the program of this regime? The government is governing using thugs. They are given the contract and told to go to Dean's Road. They are told to go to that meeting and be an alternative police. They are told that a meeting is being held by Park Yasodi and the NGO Crows. Who was it that taught the NGOs to go abroad and complain to the international community? It was
Civil society must stand together in solidarity. Political parties must come together and say that enough is enough. This country is being destroyed by, if nothing else, cancer of impunity and the collapse of the rule of law. And we must ensure that we confront and resist it at all times.
Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana said that a 47-year-old doctor has died after receiving treatment at a cosmetic surgery clinic in Bambalapitiya, Visaka Road. Further investigations have commenced in connection with the incident. And up next is Action TV.
The Dadru Oya is renowned in the country for quickly carrying rainwater to the sea. Its geography is conducive to a rapid water flow. In the era of King Parakrama Bahu, the speed of the water flow notwithstanding, an anicut was built diverting the river in Molaelia, Vingiriya. Although it fell into disrepair in later years, in 2002, 5 billion rupees were allocated to renovate the ancient Sengaloya waterway and rejuvenate this ancient project to carry water to Puttalam. Although the rapids of the Daduroya did not deter this project from going ahead, a change in government in 2004 prompted the abandonment of this project. However, the same year, the project was recommenced under the new government as a result of local politicians from the government understanding the fact that the Sengaloya project was the ideal solution for the water shortage in Puttalam. In the latter part of 2004, floodwaters washed away the project, bearing testament to the quality of the construction that had been undertaken. While the project was rebuilt, the anicut filled with water and a date for its opening decided on, both banks of the waterway collapsed, foiling the attempt once again. As a result, the anicut, which has become a mere obstacle in the Daduroya, remains to this day. As a result of this obstacle, whenever the water levels of the Daduroya rise, lands on either bank are flooded. Although people who live on lands on either bank of the river possess the deeds for their lands, the lands have ceased to exist. While the irrigation authorities have maintained nonchalance in the face of this project, the constructs that still stand bear testament to the massive amounts of money that have been plunged into this failed project. If actions were taken in a responsible fashion, the benefits that could have been reaped from the Sengaloya project would have been immeasurable. If we are able to repair the Sengaloya anicut and make it active, we will be able to cultivate our lands once again. If there is no plan to revive the Sengaloya project, then shouldn't steps be taken to demolish the pointless obstacle in the middle of the Daduroya and prevent the further erosion of land on either bank of the river? Minister of Irrigation and Water Resource Management, this is over to you.
The elephant calf that was being transported in a truck was taken into custody of the police in the Matale Fort area. Director General of Wildlife H.T. Ratnayaka noted that the young pachyderm had been entrusted to wildlife officials by the police. He said the calf had been taken to the Giritale Wildlife Office for further examinations. While Newsfirst has reported on several instances in the past on the illegal transportation of elephant calves, environmentalists point out that it has later been revealed that these are calves that are captured within protected reserves.
Tonight on our segment A Better Tomorrow, we take a look at the development taking place surrounding the Bogambara prison.
Many of those who were sent to the Bogambara prison were persons convicted for various crimes. Casting aside its dark past, the door of this prison will soon be open to the general public. This piece of history is being renovated and developed by the Urban Development Authority under the direct intervention of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. The UDA's sole objective is to undertake the restoration without harming any of the historic value of the Bogambara prison. Hotels, a museum and many other facilities that cater to the needs of the entire family will be established at the premises.
And now in some sports news, Himansha Hesham, representing the Sri Lanka Schools Sports Club, clinched victory in the men's 100 metres event at the 92nd National Athletics Championships.
Let's now take a look at some events which got underway at the Subudadasa Stadium in Colombo today.
Himasha Heshan ended the 100-meter sprint clocking a time of 10.54 seconds. Meanwhile, Jani Chaturangani was defeated after 4 years at the 100-meter event. She was defeated by NCD Priyadarshini of the Sri Lanka Navy, clocking a time of 11.89 seconds. Priyankika Madhuvanti, representing Sri Lanka School Sports Club, jumped a height of 1.79 meters in the women's high jump event. The 3000-meter steeplechase was won by E.R. Dulashi of the Sri Lanka Air Force, clocking a time of 10 minutes and 28.13 seconds.
The Met Department is forecasting showers or thunder showers in the afternoon or evening tomorrow in some parts of the Uva and eastern provinces.
The forecast notes that rains may be accompanied by temporarily localized strong winds. Joel Outscroon has more.
The Met Department notes that showers could be experienced in the western Sabaragamu and central provinces as well as in the Mathura and Galle districts. The Met Department also notes that showers could spread to the northwestern part of the country as well. In case of thunder showers, the Met Department warns the general public to take adequate precaution to avoid lightning-related accidents. Taking a look at the areas across the country, the Met Department is forecasting showers or thunder showers off the coast extending from Puttalam, Colombo, Galle and Mathura.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
We leave you tonight with some of the highlights of the actor Robin Williams. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care. And
good night.
Hey, this is not a 10 roll. Time to rocket from the Delta to the DMZ.
Mort, come in, Mort. Orson calling Mort. Come in, Mort.
Oh, yo, sir. What's up? You never used the day rates before.
We got big trouble.
Right here in Boulder City?
Mort, this is deadly serious. A spaceship from the planet Necroton landed on Earth.
Oh, no. Not the Necrotons? Our arch enemies?
No, they're a hockey team. Of course there are arch enemies.
See? You're a barbarian in you after all. Now, you don't get away that easy. Picture of Uncle Walt up there. What does he remind you of? Don't think. Answer. Go on.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know. I'd like you to meet the host of your new show.
Host?
Euphigenia Doubtfire, dear. I specialize in the education and entertainment of children.